me 25 years ago, you'll almost look back in time and say, I remember when his dad started here almost 30 years ago. I believe I started in 76, 77 right there. And when the competition came in and really tried to levy against me, you people stood faithful in quorum. You people still came and patronized me. You knew that there was a man that needed help, and you came to my assistance, and I thank you. If anyone needs to speak to me at the end of the show, my email's there, and my phone number, if you went down to the store, they'll give you my phone number. I've instructed them to do that. But I wound up getting sick, and I just want to recap last week's program. I wound up getting sick through a operation that went sour, and it went septic. And in the process of going septic, if you understand what that means, that's like a disease that takes over your body, an infection that takes over. Not many make it through there. But I want to tell you that I was one that made it through. The doctors could not believe. I'm telling you, my doctor could not believe that I made it back. Very few people make it when your whole body goes septic. This is not like having a little appendix burst. This is my whole body wound up with an infection. And I've experienced some damage through this, but God is healing me every day a little bit more. This week's program, I don't want to go over it all, but I want to tell you that I wound up in heaven. As soon as my eyes shut, as soon as I closed my eyes, all of a sudden I remember being in heaven. And I remember the first thing in heaven. People said, did you see the light? Did you see this? The only thing that I could remember that's indelibly marked in my mind, that there was a peace. There was no anxiety. There was no thinking about what would, this was so marked in my mind. There was no thinking about tomorrow. You were in that day and you enjoyed that day. Can you imagine what heaven's going to be like? I mean, I only seen a little piece of it. I remember the room being white for like a cleanliness. It was perfect in everything. I've never seen the face of God, but I surely heard him like a spokesman, like Orson Welles would speak. And he started going over things with me in the Bible, and he started in the first book and would go through different things. And the first lesson was in Matthew 7. Is he started to tell me, judge not, lest you be judged. And he taught me. You know, I come from an Italian background, and I want to just veer off here for a minute. You know, I was brought up judging people. You know, from a little kid. I remember, sitting around the table, and, my grandparents, we were waving to everyone on the street, and, we all felt like we were politicians in the neighborhood. But then when we'd sit down around the round table, we'd start cutting up our neighbors and our friends and mocking them. And that just becomes a way of life. I'm not saying every Italian person did that, but some of you know what I'm speaking about now. Some of you aren't even Italian and you understand what I'm speaking about. We became very judgmental. We became critics. We knew everything about anything, and really we didn't. And we walked with a lot of pride. And God showed me about not judging and keeping my mouth closed unless I had evidence to judge something. So no longer do I go around and judge with what I see or what I hear. Now I run it through God and say, God, what do you see? And when I do that, I always come up with a different way of looking at it than the way I would look at it. God just gives me the peace that I'm missing. There was a man that I just didn't like. And as I was not liking him, one day God visited me. And when I say God visited me, he visited me in my spirit and told me that man's a beautiful man. And you don't like him, but let me explain to you about that man. He started to show me supernaturally what that man's been through since a young kid. I didn't even know half of it. I've heard some stories about his parents that just released them and didn't want no part of him. And I heard bits and pieces, but when I was able to put the whole picture together, my God, I stood before God and I said, I'm sorry, Lord. And I want to tell you that as many times that if we would just ask God about people, you'll see we'll do a lot less judging. The problem is to remember that we've got to ask God. And the other thing I've learned is when I judge, and this is all God showed me this, and I'm going quick just so you understand it. When I judge, I put myself on a pedestal. And I say I'm better than that person. And that's indelibly marked in my mind. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I still make mistakes and judge incorrectly. But I want to tell you that I have a governor now. It's called the Holy Spirit that resides in my heart that says, no, we're not going to do that no more. And then from there, God started to speak to me